Hello everyone! Following the Edexcel syllabus, where the Picture of Dorian Gray is taught for its overarching theme of the supernatural, we will go through the themes and motifs that encompass this in the next few videos. In today's one, we will look singularly at the theme of guilt and redemption, and we will delve into the quotes which highlight this, as well as analysing them. These aren't meant to be essay plans, but will definitely help us later when we create the essay plans comparing the Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde to Beloved by Toni Morrison. Here are all the branches of the theme of guilt and redemption that we will explore today: fear, guilt, victimization, and redemption. You'll see that some of the themes and motifs may overlap with each other, and that's fine. However, for that reason, you'll notice that as we progress into the video, some branches have less to be spoken about, only because we would have covered them already in the other branches. Now let's look at fear. Fear is first presented when Lord Henry scaremongers Dorian that the days of his rose-red youth and his rose-white boyhood were over. Dorian sports a look of fear in his eyes such as people have when they are suddenly awakened. His finely chiselled nostrils quivered. Some hidden nerve shook the scarlet of his lips and left them trembling. Here, fear consumes Dorian Gray. It even makes him afraid of Lord Henry and ashamed of being afraid. Perhaps his fear is born out of sudden realization that his youth and innocence were merely temporary and his for only a season. The next time Dorian is seen in fear is when the portrait alters and he begins to wonder whether it would teach him to loathe his own soul. This drives him to pledge he'd repent. Of course that doesn't happen. Instead, he becomes fearful that Basil would find out his secret, so he locks the portrait altogether high in the attic. Here the portrait is given the role of a deity, watching over Dorian's actions from above. The portrait becomes a source of fear for Dorian as he wonders, was the world going to be shown his secret, were people to gape at the mystery of his life? The next and final time Dorian is met face to face with fear is when he is confronted by Jim Vane. This is the denouement of fear for Dorian, as he becomes sick with a wild terror of dying and yet indifferent to life itself. Thus, fear becomes a catalyst for Dorian's actions in the novel. Let's move on to guilt. Guilt is first portrayed when Dorian sees that the portrait's face appeared to him to be a little changed. The expression looked different. One would have said that there was a touch of cruelty in the mouth. Here, the reality of what his sin would mean makes Dorian quickly decide that he'd go back to Sybil Vane, make her amends, marry her, try to love her again. He realizes that she must have suffered more than he had. Remember, here Dorian doesn't yet know that Sybil had drunk prussic acid and committed suicide. This guilt, however, quickly diminishes as Dorian Gray becomes so used to and immersed in sinning. The next time we see Dorian Gray feeling guilty is when he realizes, oh, what a wild hour of madness, he had killed his friend. He saw it all again. Each hideous detail came back to him with added horror. Here, guilt overcomes Dorian. He's finally guilty of killing Basil Hallward. Now let's look at victimization. Dorian claims to be a victim in front of Alan Campbell. He informs Alan Campbell, "You don't know what Basil had made me suffer." However, this brief victimization quickly turns into threat. Dorian resorts to threatening Alan Campbell that he will send a certain letter about him if he refuses to cooperate and dispose of Basil's body. "If you don't help me, I must send it. If you don't help me, I will send it. You know what the results will be." When Alan sees the letter, a horrible sickness came over him. He felt as if his heart was beating itself to death in some empty hollow, and a groan broke from Campbell's lips and he shivered all over. Here we see Dorian become a cruel character rather than a true victim. However, some may argue that Dorian is indeed truly a victim. The portrait's threats towards him are enough to label him as such. He must fight the corruption and influence it has over him. He also has to fight the bullying of the yellow book that poisons him. The narrator informs us that it is a poisonous book. The heavy odour of incense seemed to cling about its pages and trouble the brain. In fact, the narrator tells us that the hero of the wonderful novel had so influenced his life. There was even moments when he looked on evil simply as a mode through which he could realize his conception of the beautiful. This experimentation would further corrupt Dorian's soul to no return. Thus, Dorian is truly a victim here. Nonetheless, Dorian is also a victim by the corruption he causes his own self. Ultimately, it was his own wish. He says, if it were only the other way, if it were I who was to be always young and the picture that was to grow old, for that For that I would give everything. Yes, there is nothing in the whole world I would not give. I would give my soul for that. This ultimately leads to his own tragic demise. When we look at redemption, after pushing Sybil Vane away to suicide and murdering Basil Hallward and also making Alan Campbell commit suicide from the horrors he witnesses, Dorian thinks he can redeem his corrupt behaviour by claiming that he had spared Hetty Merton, his second heterosexual lover, who was quite beautiful and wonderfully like Sybil Vane. However, Dorian is aware that it is only through vanity that he spares Hetty. In hypocrisy, he had worn the mask of goodness. For curiosity's sake, he had tried the denial of self. He recognised that now. Perhaps Dorian Gray's greatest redemption lies when he kills the portrait, stabs it, and ultimately commits suicide himself. He purges his sins and protects the world from his corruption. This marks the end of this video. If this has helped you, comment down below and give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this and click the bell to get post notifications whenever I upload. Until next time, stay alert, stay safe, and see you very soon.